In this video we'll be covering for loops. As in most applications you are going to need the ability to run the same code more than once. And rather than writing the same lines of code several times, we use loops. In Python there are two types of loops, and now we'll be talking about for loops. So how loops work? Loops are how programmers rerun the same lines of code several times. Loops will always run until a condition is met. Now, for loops are primarily used to loop a set number of times. Every for loop begins with the keyword for. Then you define a temporary variable, sometimes known as a counter or index. Next is an in keyword, followed by the range function, which will be explained later. And lastly, we have a colon to end the statement. All for loops will follow this exact structure of keyword, variable, keyword, function, and colon. Now let's go ahead and run that cell. This will output numbers from 0 to 4 divided with comma. This loop is essentially counting to 5 and printing out each number. So how does it print out each number? When the for loop is created, the range function begins at 0 by default and assigns the value of 0 into our temporary variable, which is num. Each time through the loop is what we call an iteration. For each iteration, once all the code within the block runs, the current iteration is finished, and the loop starts over again at the top. Except this time, it increments a value of num, which by default is 1. Our temporary variable is assigned the value of 1 and continues to run the lines of code inside the for loop, which is simply printing out the value of num. And it will continue to do this until we reach the number of 5. So at each iteration, the value is assigned, and at loop 1, at first loop, it will assign 0 and output 0. At second iteration, it will assign a value of num which is 1 and output value 1, and so on, until it reaches the loop number 5 and assigns value of num to 4 and will output value 4. And please note that value 5 is not output because range counts up to but not including. Now what is range? Range allows us to count from one number to another while being able to define where to start and end and how much we increment and decrement by. Meaning that we could count every other number or every fifth number if we wanted to. When used with a for loop, it gives us the ability to loop a certain number of times. In the previous example, we saw that a range of 5 printed out 5 numbers. This is because range defaults to starting at 0 and increments by 1 each time. Now let's see another example. This time we've specified our program to start the loop at the value of 2 and count to 10 by increment, but increment by 2. The output of our values becomes 2, 4, 6, and 8. Now we can loop by element. When working with data types that are